What's going on, Colts Nation? I'm Lawrence Owen, back with another edition of Colts Law. Real quick, I'm going to jump in. I'm going to straight up thank you all for your support over the past week, 2 weeks, where I have been really putting out the content that I can, as much content as I possibly can, and giving you all of my thoughts and reports on the Indianapolis Colts. Those of you who are joining Patreon, I've noticed there are quite a few of you have been joining Patreon as of late. Thank you so much to Benjamin and Grant and others who have came in. I believe there was one named Tyler just 7 minutes ago joined Patreon. Thank you so much. If you want to join Patreon, get in on the Patreon live streams that we have. Plus, check out 2 film rooms every month that I will be dropping for Patreon only. Then feel free to use the link in the description to do that. Also, I've got people here who donate money via the Streamlabs. I will absolutely get into any questions when there is a donation there with a question to it. I get to it, just like today. Hermit Crabbit in the last 24 hours dropped a tip. So I'm doing this video for you, Hermit. Appreciate you for the tip and the questions. This makes a great question for great content. And his question, straight up, let's get a look at it real quick. Hermit Crabbit donated the $10, says, great analysis of Steichen's revolutionary squad, as you saw that I put down for my Believe in Colts episode. 2 tight end questions. First, is any tight end on the squad fast enough to play possession wide receiver? Now, let's dive into that question specifically first. That first question, possession receiver, meaning first off, you need to be quick enough, obviously, and got good hands. And we have 2 guys on the tight ends that I believe could legitimately kind of play that role, right? Kind of similar to what, Michael Pittman Jr. runs, right? First, you need to be big to be a possession with good hands, but fast enough. Kylen Granson kind of fits that mold, right? He's 6'3". You don't think about the fact that he's 6'3" when you have these other tight ends that are 6'5", 6'6", 6'7", right? But fact is, 6'3", still a big dude, right? And I've interviewed him face to face, one-on-one, and dude's stacked. I mean, he is stacked. So I believe that he can indeed be. He's probably our best receiving tight end anyhow as it sits. So I believe Kylen Granson could fit that mold. Another guy who could grow into that mold is Will Mallory. Okay, the rookie that we have, he missed some time due to injury during training camp and some preseason snaps. But what I saw from him early in training camp, and then on top of what I saw on the All-22 in the Eagles game, dude's got really good quickness, is able to find open slots. He's so smooth in the way he runs and catches. If he learns to learn how to body block guys out, right, defenders out, I think he could do a fine job at the possession receiver that you're talking about, where you split out wide rather than tight up against the offensive line, right? That's something that could absolutely happen. I got a feeling I know why this question came out, because I was talking about how the Colts, with as many tight ends as they have, you can legitimately see 2, 3 tight end sets a lot. And that I personally would love to see 4 and 5 tight end sets, because that would freak out. That would freak out defensive coordinators if you saw 5 tight ends, no running backs, no wide receivers, right? Because you wouldn't know what to do. And you could drop those, as you're talking about, as the possession receivers, right? You could drop those 5 tight ends on the field and then split those possession receivers out wide so they're one-on-one against cornerbacks, right? You got a 6'3" and a 6'5" tight end with enough speed and size to just block out, these 5'10", 5'11" cornerbacks and get those kind of receptions. That could spell serious serious mismatches in the secondary of defenses if you're able to do that. I'm not saying that Shane Steichen should go in to do that and make that a primary form. Obviously not. But it will be interesting to see if something like that does come about this upcoming season. Let's take a look at his second question here. And when do you anticipate that Jelani Woods is going to come off of IR? That is a tough question there, Hermit. That is a very tough question because he has a torn hamstring. This isn't a pulled hamstring like what you see from running backs and wide receivers. They miss 2, 3, maybe 4 weeks. It's torn. He tore it in OTAs, okay? Which means this is going to take a long time. And IR means he's out at least 6 weeks. It's not like the pup where it's at least 4. You got 6 weeks. And then after that 6 weeks, if he's good enough to come back to practice, the Colts can then can take him off the IR, or not actually take him off IR, but bring him in to practice. Kind of, he comes off IR, but it's kind of temporary. Then you got I think it's 2 weeks. I may be mistaken, but I think it's 2 weeks where they have to decide, after they bring him off, hey, during those practices, can you move around enough to where I can take you off permanently? Because if they have to put him back on IRR, he's done for the season, right? So at that point, after 6 weeks, that is the soonest that he can come back. Now remember, he's also got to get his legs under him, and that's generally 2 to 3 weeks of practicing with the team, right? So most likely, at the earliest that we could see him on the field in the game for Jelani Woods is week 8. I know that's probably not the news that you or many of you want to hear, but that's just what, it's just the facts of the matter, and it sucks, but it is what it is. But the Colts, with the way Chris Ballard has drafted, have got very deep tight end room, right? You still got guys. Andrew Ogletree, Drew, as most call him out on the field, is a guy very similar to Jelani, but stronger and better at blocking up front. I think you'll be incredibly impressed with Drew Ogletree this season. I think Drew Ogletree and Kylan Granson are your 2 best tight ends on the field. Now, Mo Alley-Cox could be there, depending upon if he makes, a comeback this season, just like everybody else on the team, right? Mo Alley-Cox, come on now. Yes, he had a really bad season last year, a down season, but so did basically everybody else on the team as well. So we're hoping that not only him, but many other guys are able to have these bounce-back seasons, especially for our rookie running back that we have, and the fact that, we have 4 wide receivers on the team right now. We're going to need a lot out of our tight ends. We have 4 wide receivers and 2 active running backs. Active. Now, Shane Steichen did just get done talking in his press conference today about how he hopes that he has Zach Moss back next week on the return from his broken arm. Now, does that mean that he'd be able to play week 1? I'm not expecting that. I'm expecting his earliest return to be week 2. I believe it's the Texans. I honestly don't expect to have Zach Moss for week 1 against the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think that's pretty much going to be an Evan Hall and Deion Jackson show week 1. But thanks everybody for watching. I appreciate everything that all of you do for me. Again, shout out to my brand new patrons. Shout out to those of you who plan on joining Patreon. And also, I have my Discord, right? That we get to sit down, watch games, live and recorded. I come in, we talk occasionally. Lots of other stuff. There's links in the description below for you to get into a lot of this stuff. And I think that's going to do it for this episode. It was just a real quick thank you, shout out, and answer a couple questions. Appreciate all of you. And until next time, I'm Lawrence Owen. This is Colts Law, and I want you to have a good one.